Adjust those headphones, get locked in your gaming chair, get the caffeine flowing, and get ready for a crosshair conversation with Chrissy. You ready to load in? Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of Crosshair Conversations. I'm ChrissyHQ, and this is a podcast about tech, gaming, streaming, everything in that realm coming from a girl gamer and my perspective. So, today we're going to be talking about something that is in major development across the gaming industry, could be changing a lot of things. And if you've been living under a rock, you probably haven't heard about it. But if you don't, you know that Pokemon is about to sue Palworld. They're in the works of that. If you're a Pokemon fan, or just somebody who games, I guess, you know that this could be huge. So together we're going to unpack this lawsuit here, see what it means for gaming going forward. But first, we're going to talk about the key components, right? So for those of you that are not familiar, Palworld is an indie game developed by Pocket Pair, an open world multiplayer survival game that features these cute but oddly familiar looking creatures called pals. Now, they help you with building, farming, all of the above, and as well as combat, right? So, I played the game personally for about probably 10-15 minutes. It's not really my style of game, but I did enjoy watching other people play it. So, I have a little bit of experience. But here's the catch. If you look at some of the pals, they have a striking resemblance to Pokemon. And by striking, you could fool someone, somebody who might not be as aware. If you showed them a screenshot of the pals, they might think they're Pokemon. You know where I'm going with this, hopefully. Enter in the lawsuit. So, Pokemon Company International has filed a lawsuit claiming that Palworld is copying their design and their concepts. And it's not just one or two characters, it's a whole huge issue with the entire game. From the art style to certain gameplay elements, Pokemon's legal team is arguing that Palworld is just riding a little too close along that line. The lawsuit itself is it's in its very early stages, but it's definitely still a conversation starter and it raises a lot of important questions for gamers and developers, right? Like how much inspiration is too much and what point do we go to, like how far can we get before it's like inspiration turns into imitation? Like does that make sense? And what is the cost of creativity then? Like what is going to happen? But we're going to get into that. First though, why is this such a big deal for the gaming world? Pokemon is not just a franchise, right? So Pokemon is huge. The biggest media, one of the biggest media franchises in the world. And when they decide to sue a small indie developer like Pocket Pair, it's kind of David versus Goliath like, but with a lot of copyright lawyers involved. So here's something interesting something I found interesting. The lawsuit itself could set a precedence as to how indie developers approach game design in the future. Think about it. Like big franchises like Pokemon, are they going to start going after every indie game that shares any similarity? That's a question. And what happens to creativity if developers are too scared of getting sued? Like, if this goes through, if I was a small indie developer, I'd be like, oh, you're walking the line every single time you do something. On the flip side, though, we do have to acknowledge that IP, intellectual property protection, does exist. And that is for a reason, right? Pokemon has been around for over 2 decades, and the Pokemon Company has built an empire on their unique designs and their gameplay elements, right? They've spent millions, probably billions, developing their brand. And so you can see why they want to protect it. They're very proud of what they've built. It's a legacy, it's an icon, it's Pokemon. Come on, everyone knows Pokemon. My parents know what Pokemon is. They didn't allow me to play with them. I still did. But it's huge. And it raises the question though, where do we draw that line? Like I said earlier, between being inspired beside something or outright copying it. Where do we draw the line? The truth is, gaming is full of trends and full of cycles, and whether it's rogue-like games, battle royales, farming sims, genres, styles, they repeat. It's kind of like fashion. They evolve, they influence each other constantly. Could this lawsuit create a stunt in natural flow of creativity? Do you think that could happen? And will indie developers start playing it too safe because of this in the future? I don't want to see that happen because there are a lot of amazing indie games out there, but this could be a huge possibility. Now, at what point is this lawsuit going to impact the relationship between the big gaming corporations and smaller indie studios? Do you think that smaller indie studios are currently looking at this, even though the lawsuit is in the beginning stages and they're kind of getting ready? Or do you think this is not really on their radar yet? What I think it's on a few people's radar, but I don't know if it's had a huge impact yet. And this might be biased, but I think Pokemon's gonna win this. Anyways, moving on. A lot of indie games, they thrive because they can take risks and they can explore those markets that bigger studios often overlook. And if Pokemon's lawsuit is successful, like I said, I think it's gonna send some shockwaves through the indie scene. It's gonna make developers second guess their designs and hesitate to explore certain concepts that might be pretty familiarized already. I don't know. It could be a huge loss in the gaming world. We need that diversity in games to keep things fresh and exciting, but it's so hard to create something new without taking a little bit of inspiration from other things. So what does this mean though for us gamers? First off, it's going to be fascinating to see how this lawsuit unfolds. I don't know about you, but I'm invested. I want to check it all out. And beyond that, it's going to kind of shape how the games are developed and released in the future, right? So if Pokemon Company wins, we might start seeing a cautious approach from indie developers. Like I said, you might not be seeing as many creature collecting games, which is kind of going to be a shame because Pal World, lawsuit or not, it's super cute to watch. We like watching that. And I think that creature collecting genre of games is just, I don't know, I think it's fun. Who doesn't like it? But if Pokemon loses, that brings in a whole nother ball, right? It will open the door for more games just like Pal World. Games that are inspired, not necessarily copied, but inspired by other big franchises. And it might encourage developers to push boundaries in a way that leads new, innovative gaming experience. I don't know. At the end of the day, whether you're a Pokemon fan, Pal World fan, or if you just love good games in general, this lawsuit is kind of worth keeping an eye on because the future, it could go either way. Let me know your thoughts. And do you think Pokemon is right to go after Pal World? I honestly think so. I can see after looking at Pal World, playing it for a short time and watching other people play, it is a bit too close. And I think that Pokemon is very proud of what they've built, and I completely understand that. But do you think that indie developers should have a little leeway? Should they have the ability to take influence that strongly from big corporation brands? I don't know. It's all, it's up in the air. We all really don't have a say in this, but it is going to be very interesting to how this plays out. Again, you guys, thank you so much for joining in. This has been a very short episode, but I have to get my thoughts out somehow. Drop your comments down below in the comments and follow me on all the socials, and I'll catch you guys next time.